foodies, welcome to another exciting episode of the Intellectual Foodie. My name is Foody. I'm hosting this channel. It's my platform for sharing important information, debates, and my love for cooking. Actually today, what brings me here is that I've got a lot of leftovers that I don't know what to do with. So I've decided that let's just be creative and make pizza with leftovers, and just share this experience with everybody else. So I've got leftover mince that I ate yesterday, and now I don't know what to do with it. There's no one to visit, so instead of throwing it away, I'm making use of it and making lunch for today. And for breakfast, I defrosted a lot of bacon, and right now that bacon, it's just a tiny bit for me to just take it and freeze it again. I'm never going to use it, so I'm going to add it on my pizza. And I also have avocado that was left over from this morning's breakfast. And the problem with avocado, we all know that after a while in the fridge, especially if it's open and it's been cut, it's just going to be dark and mushy. It's not going to be so nice. So we're finding ways, as we quarantine in our own homes, we're finding ways of being creative with leftovers and making pizza. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you have fun. This should be just fun than making the perfect pizza, but I'll take you through from making the dough to prepping up your other ingredients, especially the toppings. And yeah, you can, for instance, I'm gonna use mince. You can do this with leftover chicken. You can do this with lamb, as long as you don't bring in the gravy, because it's just gonna make your pizza wet. So you must be creative, but I'll show you how to deal with meat and how to actually ensure that your meat is not so wet and doesn't wet your pizza. Welcome, and enjoy. Now foodies, we start with 2 cups of all-purpose flour to make our dough for our pizza. That's our really first step in the process of making pizza. And then we take a full tablespoon of sugar, we add it to the flour. And then we take 2 pinches of salt, we add it to the flour and the sugar as well. And then a half a cup of yeast, dry yeast. We add it into the flour as well. And then we start stirring and mixing all our ingredients. Now we're ready for our dough. We're just going to be pouring warm water. It doesn't have to be hot water. It has to be warm water. You pour it over your mixture to make a dough for your pizza. This is a very important step. Ensure that each and every part of flour has water in it and everything is mixed equally for a perfect dough. And then you start mixing, you mix until you reach the end. And then you transfer your dough from the bowl into the surface. The surface must have flour, and then you start kneading your dough. This is what we call in isiXhosa ukuxovula. You knead your dough, you start kneading nicely, ensuring that it's properly done. When you're starting out, it's going to be a bit sticky, but as you start going, you're going to see that it's not so sticky anymore. But when you're starting the process, the dough is going to be sticking on your hands, on your fingers actually. And then as you go along, it's going to be much easier. And the less sticky it becomes, once it's not sticky anymore, that's when you know that your dough is really ready to rest. You do this process for about 5 minutes of your time. You just have to time yourself and ensure that you knead the dough properly and you stretch it. You stretch it as much as you can to ensure that you remove the gluten in the dough. You're just going to have to stretch your dough. Until you're done and you feel that it's not sticking on your hands. Then you prepare your dough to go and rest. Okay, for these, now we allow our dough to rest. We place back into a bowl which is oil coated, and then we cover it with a cling wrap to ensure that there is no air that could interfere with our process for our dough to rise properly and for the yeast to ferment properly. We let our dough rest for an hour, 30 minutes. During this time, we may find something interesting to do. Someone else may make tea, someone else may do something else. Even better, let's make our pizza toppings. Let's prep our pizza topping in the time being and get ready. Right here, foodies, we're not doing so much. We're just chopping our green peppers for the pizza topping and nothing much. Just green, red, and yellow peppers, and that's it. And then for these, we now chop our basil, which we'll just put it on top of our pizza. The flavor is great and it smells amazing. Now for these, we prep our mozzarella cheese. We grate our mozzarella cheese. This is one of the best ingredients for me. What is pizza without mozzarella cheese? This is like the best thing ever on the pizza. Another personal fave for me. Now we're cutting the ever for the pizza topping. Lovely and yummy. Yeah. Now for these, for a more cheesy taste, we also add the cheddar cheese. I love my cheese on the pizza. I just love my cheese. The cheesier it is, the better. Now for these, it's time for the nyama. It's time for the meat. We want to remove excess fat from our mince and ensure that our pizza is not so greasy, and also the fat doesn't have to be so gravy-like and wet our pizza. And we just have to use the serviette because we do not have paper towels. Under normal circumstances, we'll use a paper towel. But actually, any tissue paper would do for this kind of function. You'll just have to place your meat or your mince on top of a tissue paper and then place another one on top to sort of like drain it in between both tissue papers. And you start pressing, and the more you press, the more you start seeing the fat coming out and being drawn on the tissue actually. And then the bottom one usually has more fat, and you'd have to place the second one on the under the bottom tissue and start pressing again. And then you turn the tissue around and you start pressing to remove all the excess fat and ensuring that your food is not greasy. And then you remove the tissues and you transfer your mince back into your bowl to prep it and get it ready for it to be used as a topping for your pizza. Until later, darlings. Our dough is great. It's back. It has risen, darlings. And now we take it out of the bowl, back into the surface to stretch it once more and to shape it into a pizza nicely. What we're going to be doing now, we are going to be we're kneading the dough a bit just to remove any kind of air and bubbles inside the dough, and then we start pressing it as we're preparing to shape it nicely into a nice pizza dough that that we're going to enjoy. Actually, this process you can do it with your bundles of joy. It would be nice for kids to play around with the dough and to actually feel it and experience it. But make sure that you don't overstretch your dough and you don't overwork your dough. Later, dolls, enjoy pizza making. It's so fun. It's fun for you and fun for the kids. Later. Now for these, you can start greasing your pan. Remember, you wouldn't want your pizza to stick and to remain on your pan. because you want to cut it up nicely into small pieces for everyone to enjoy. And then on top of the pen, what I usually do is I use breadcrumbs to sort of like, I don't know, for me, they've got this special feeling for me. And they usually have this special, they make this special crust at the bottom that I really, really love. So I usually use breadcrumbs to like place my pizza on. And yeah, those are my habits. And then you start placing it on the pan, and you shape it as you place it. You start shaping it into a nice round shape that fits the entire pan. But be careful of dragging it too much and cutting it. But in case you like see a hole, please don't be scared to like take a little piece of dough from elsewhere and patch it up. But you just basically try and round your dough up, and you roll it from out towards the inside. You roll it from outside towards the inside. Remember, we're doing a thick base pizza. I love thick base. So that's what you do. You like roll the edges and you roll them from outside towards the inside, to sort of like make a more circular type of shape. If you do not have a pizza pan, feel free to use a plastic plate or even a normal plate to just sort of like to emulate the round shape. I think it's nicer to make it as real as possible. Okay, for those who are following my Facebook page may remember my chili paste. I use it as a sauce and paste for this type of recipe. And then we start after we've put in the sauce, we start placing all our toppings, starting with the mince. We just put in the mince, and then we ensure that the mince it's evenly distributed in our dough nicely. Our nyama, people like me who love meat would be excited doing this, because I love the savory and meaty taste. And thereafter, we are going to go for the peppers. You know, they bring in the flavor. Oh, the flavor of a pizza. Right there. Just watch me having leftovers again. And then the bacon. You see, this is our something meaty, our very own version of something meaty. The quarantine something meaty. Foodies. This is our quarantine something meaty. And then our cheddar cheese. Remember, we love things cheesy. And then finally, yum, 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 mozzarella cheese. Right at it. Just like that, foodies. Exciting times, right? You can do this with your babies, with your kids. If you're a mommy like me. And then you place your avo right there. And then another amazing flavor, basil. I just love basil. The flavor is so amazing and it smells great. All right, foodies, now we're ready to bake. Our pizza's almost ready. Exciting times. Yum, yum, yum. Can't wait. Now, foodies, we bake our pizza on 180 degrees Celsius. It has to be in the middle in order for the bottom and the top to both cook very well. Now, foodies, our pizza's out. I'm just cutting it out of excitement. I don't know what to do. I'm so happy. It came out perfectly for me. It's looking good. It's smelling great. It's probably tasting yummy. I can't wait to taste it. Yum, yum, yum. The pizza's out. Okay, foodies, now we have something meaty in our hands from our leftovers. They didn't hit the dustbin at all. We just made them useful. Looking yum. Okay, foodies, thanks for joining us today. It's been an amazing journey of making our own pizza from leftover food. Now I'm just going to cut it and enjoy it and tefal and eat it. Just imagine something you would have thrown away, food you would have thrown away. Look at it. Food is edible, especially for your bundles of joy. I know at this moment I've just heard, I don't know whether it's me who's hearing these stories, I've just been hearing from a lot of parents that the bundles are eating and eating and eating and eating. So imagine, I call everyone and they start saying that, I ask where the kids, they say eating, they're eating, everyone's complaining about kids eating. So at this point, imagine if you have to take something that you had no use for, and you made something so nice, fresh and lovely for your kids, for your bundles of joy. So in the kitchen, we just have to be creative. Foodies, thank you for joining me. Please like our page on Facebook at Intellectual Foodie and like us on Instagram at Intellectual Foodie, and please comment down below and like the channel as well. Like the channel and comment down below if you've made this recipe or you'd like to make this recipe or you want to just give us a compliment. Just keep engaging us. Let's keep talking and keep making food and keep having fun. Toodles!